Recently, I saw a video where a woman said that she does not share what she is going through until she's completely through it because she does not want to bleed on her audience. I understood what she meant, and there is a part of her message that I absolutely agree with. If you know that when you're hurting, you need other people to validate, regulate your emotions, reassure you, or help you make sense of what's happening, then sharing publicly in that moment may not be the healthiest decision. Where I disagree, and what we're going to talk about today, is the idea that simply talking about something while you're still experiencing it means that you're bleeding on people. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Self Love Sunday. I am Tarnissha Sass, your host of Self Love Sundays with Sass, where we come every single Sunday to talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. And I really want to talk about this because I do not believe that it is true. And I actually think we have to be really careful about teaching women that the only acceptable time to speak about a difficult experience is after you completely overcome it. This is something that has plagued me even in my life, from earlier years. You always taught, to not speak up, to stay silent. And there is some good to it, but there's also some bad to it. So we're going to talk about it today because that can become another version of the same culture many of us spent years trying to get away from. We have already been taught to be strong. How many of you got you got to be strong, you got to be resilient, all the things, right? Hold everything together. Keep going. No matter if your whole world is falling apart, you got to keep going. Handle your responsibilities and make sure everybody else is okay, regardless of what is happening with you, regardless of what is happening with us. If we're not careful, do not share until you are through it becomes a more sophisticated way of saying, do not let anybody see you until you have pulled yourself together. And I do not want to teach women that. I believe there is a way to say that I'm going through something right now. I do not have the ending yet. I'm still processing what this means for my life. But here is what I'm doing to take care of myself while I'm walking through it. To me, that is not bleeding. That is vulnerability with responsibility. And if you've been watching my Self Love Sunday since the beginning of this year, well, if you've been watching my Self Love Sunday since the beginning, and if you are, I'm so appreciative and thank you for the support. You've actually watched me do this in real time. I didn't wait to every emotion surrounding my breakup or my friend's death, the guy I was seeing when he passed away, or when my sons, even talking about their passing. I didn't wait for all the emotion surrounding that to disappear before I acknowledged what I was experiencing. I have not waited until my business produced every result I want before talking about what it feels like to continue building when the evidence hasn't caught up to the vision yet. I have allowed you to see parts of my process while I was actually living the process. If you went back and watched some of the early videos, and watch me today, because now it's August, or if you watch me from January, you can see a completely different spirit. You can hear differences in how I speak, what I understand, what matters to me, how I see certain experiences. That did not happen because I disappeared, came back healed, and gave you a polished version of what happened. Some of it actually happened while you were watching it. And that's what I want to talk about, because I believe there's a form of leadership that we do not discuss enough. Sometimes the mark of a leader is not standing on the other side of an experience, telling people how you survived it. Sometimes the mark of a leader is allowing people to see how you are leading yourself while you're still walking through whatever it is that you are walking through. So you guys actually watch me walk through in real time a breakup while building my retreat. The first distinction that we have to make is between vulnerability and bleeding, because I don't believe those words should be used interchangeably, right? Telling someone that you are hurting does not automatically mean you're bleeding on them. Telling someone that you are disappointed doesn't automatically mean that you're emotionally dumping on them. Admitting that you do not know what comes next does not mean that you're unstable or incapable of leading. None of us know, if we're honest, what comes next. None of us know, if we're honest, what comes next. None of us have a crystal ball. For me, the difference comes down to responsibility. I can tell you that something hurts without making you responsible for making my hurt go away. I can tell you that my business is not where I want it to be without needing you to convince me that everything is going to work out. I can tell you that I'm disappointing in something or someone without requiring the people listening to me to rescue me from my disappointment. I can tell you that I'm not happy right now and not make you responsible for my happiness. That is the distinction I think get lost. Vulnerability is just saying, I am willing to let you see where I am. Bleeding says, I need you to do something about it. I need you to pull me out of it. I need you to regulate my emotions. I need you to make me happy. I need you to, to make my business, to convince me that I need to stay in this business. That's the difference. Bleeding means I need all of your emotions to be focused on me. That's not the same. And so when I share something real time, I still have to ask myself why I'm sharing it though. Am I sharing it because this is an experience that can help another woman understand her own experience? Am I sharing because I want you to see what it actually looks like to use the tools I talk about as a coach? Am I sharing because I have enough awareness around what is happening that I can speak about it responsibly, even though I haven't completely moved through it yet? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. If you're sharing because you need sympathy, if you're sharing because you need maybe somebody or a friendship or somebody that hurt you to see your messages, for them to see your side of your point of view, then that's when it gets different. If you're sharing it because you need somebody else to feel your hurt and pain, that's where it gets different. So you have to understand first why you are sharing it. As a coach, most times I'm sharing with you what I'm going through real time so you can actually use the tools that I created, that I put into these books, actually work. But I'm gonna give you something about that too. But those are very different motivations from turn on the camera because I need strangers to help me feel better, or stand in front of an audience speaking because I need that audience to help me feel better. I need the audience. I need to evoke an emotion from the audience so they can feel bad for me or sorry for me or whatever. That's completely different, and it causes for you to get real with yourself in order to know the truth of that. Right. So that's one of the steps in my program. Number one, you got to get real. Okay. Number two, you have to take ownership. We have to take ownership of why we're doing it. And then three, we get into action. Okay. So there are things that I will never share publicly. Never. There are things that belong just between me and God. There are things that belong just in therapy. And there are things that belong in conversations with people that I completely trust with all of me. There are things that belong just in my journal. Okay. And there are parts of my experiences that may never become content at all because everything is not for everybody. That is not what I'm saying. Vulnerability does not mean that everybody gets access to everything. One of the things that we should have is boundaries, and that's why boundaries matter. Even when we are being vulnerable, I can be authentic without giving you restricted access to my life, unrestricted access. You can be authentic without giving people unrestricted access to your life. I can tell you the truth without telling you every detail. I can talk about my experience without exposing another person's private information. That's the one thing that I never understood about people. They walk away from people and friendships and then they go telling every little dirty thing that they know about the person. That says more about your character than it will ever say about the other people, at least to me. I can I talked about it. You guys watch me walk through it. I didn't have one negative thing to say about the other party. Does it mean I didn't feel something? Absolutely not. But I can share my experience without dogging somebody else out, right? I can acknowledge that something affected me without turning my platform into a place where I can process every emotion connected to it. That requires self-awareness. And I believe self-awareness is absolutely a huge part of leadership. The question should not simply be, am I completely through this yet? A better question might be, am I capable of holding myself while I'm talking about this to my audience? Am I able to talk to the audience about the steps that I am taking that could possibly help them? Because it's about them if you are a leader more than about yourself. Walk through it in real time. If the answer is no, then perhaps you're not ready to share it publicly. If you know that you are going to be extensively crying, there was a point, especially when my sons first passed away, of course I could not talk about it. I needed time. That's okay. Then I'm not ready to talk about it. But after I have worked through and healed some of my grief, which never goes away. People talk about this all the time. I don't know where they get this from. It never goes away. There will always be a part of you that will grieve certain losses in your life. And that is okay. We are living in a world having human experiences. I tell my children, even I am human first, then I am a woman, then I'm a mother and everything else. Okay. So, however, if the answer is yes, I don't believe I need to hide simply because my experience is unfinished. This is where I think the conversation becomes much bigger than social media, right? Women have been conditioned for a very long time to show up regardless of what is happening inside of us. We go to work while our marriages and our relationships are falling apart, while we're dealing with all the heartache of raising children. And if you're raising children, you know there is some heartache that comes with that. We lead teams while we are still grieving. I had to come back. I had to go back into the office after my sons passed away. I had to go back to work. I had to still raise my children. I had to still be in my marriage while I was in it until the divorce happened, right? We take care of our children while trying to figure out who's taking care of us. We have to take care of our children. We have to raise them while still raising ourselves. We have to be honest about that. We are human first. I was raising myself by raising my children. I didn't have it all together, all figured out. What I had was my experiences, and I raised them from what I knew and what I learned along the way. And I am still doing that today. We answer emails, make decisions, solve problems, pay bills, support families, build businesses, and continue carrying responsibility while major parts of our lives may be changing, because if you are in life, life will always be life. And so there's always going to be ups and downs while all that is going on. But then somebody asks us how we're doing in the first minute. I'm good. Everything is okay. We have all mastered that kind of strength. A lot of women, especially that I know that are leaders, have all mastered that kind of strength. Whether they're Christian leaders, business leaders, coaches, therapists, they've all done it. I'm not interested in teaching women how to become better at that. We've mastered that. That is why I became uncomfortable when the standard leaderships become, do not talk about what you're going, don't talk about it while you're going through it. I'm uncomfortable with that kind of leadership, because depending upon how that woman that you're talking to receives that message, especially if it's going across the airways of social media, especially if you're standing up in front of your organization, right? Every woman doesn't receive that message the same. She may hear, nobody should see the version of me. I need to wait until I'm strong again. I need to wait until I fixed it all. I need to be silent while I'm going through it. That's the message. But what if she's already strong? What if strength looks different than she thought it did? Maybe strength is recognizing that your heart is broken and still making this decisions that protect you. Maybe strength is acknowledging that your business is struggling, okay? Instead of pretending everything is amazing because you're afraid of people are going to question your credibility. I don't care about people questioning my credibility. I know that I am the most amazing transformational um, coach there is, vision strategist coach there is. How do I know that? Not because I've said it. I've watched what I've done in people's lives, and it doesn't matter if my business isn't making multi-million dollars at this point. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with my credibility, that I'm not, because I'm not speaking on massive stages yet. You can still admit it. We don't have to pretend. So there's a difference between, I know that when you're building a business, you got to be delusional. Okay, yes, we have to be a little bit delusional, but there's a difference between, living in our delusion of knowing that everything is going to work out and we're going to make it, then being honest with somebody, especially if somebody this is somebody that can help you, through systems, with systems and stuff with your business, it's okay. Maybe strength is admitting, oh, this is a good one, that the tool you've been teaching, okay, is not the tool you need in this particular season. As I have grown, right, I have tools in my toolbox that I either developed or learned from other coaches that I use. I've come to find out that as I continue to develop, those tools don't work for me no more. I have to use something new. I have to utilize something new. Now, whether that means that I am in another coaching environment, mentoring environment, or something that I believe that God gives me to translate into walk through, then I may have to come back and be like, listen, that old tool, what worked for me when I first stepped off of welfare is not working for me now. Let's just say that, right? As I grow, I need different tools. And it's okay to say, okay, my coaching business has evolved. I've pivoted. It's all right. The last one is important to me because leadership can become dangerous when we start believing that credibility requires certainty. If I teach something that generally worked for me and my clients in one season, and I arrive in another season and the same tool is no longer enough, I should be able to tell that. That's okay. That means that we are all growing and evolving, and we're getting bigger and better. The perspective that, oh, that means something was wrong with it, that's not the truth. I should be able to say, I used this before, but the situation is requiring something different of me. So I'm learning to care for myself and my clients in a new way. This doesn't diminish my leadership, it strengthens it. And it doesn't diminish yours, it strengthens it when you say, oh, I've evolved past this. That's okay. My credibility shouldn't depend on pretending that I always know the answer. Your credibility isn't pretending you always know the answer. My credibility should be reflected in my willingness to recognize when the answer needs to change, and that I'm going to go get that answer though. So let's not play today. So it's not always knowing, it's knowing that I'm going to go get it. That's so good. The fact that you're resourceful, that is where you should hinge your credibility, on your resourcefulness, not always having certainty. There is no certainty. Okay? That is what growth actually looks like. The woman you're becoming should know things the woman you used to be did not know, right? We don't know everything. So the woman that you're becoming should know things that the woman that you used to didn't know, right? Because you've grown, you've evolved. She should have different tools now. She should ask different questions. She should have stronger boundaries. This is the one for me. Stronger boundaries. She should be willing to abandon strategies and or systems and or thoughts and or ideals and or people, places, and things that no longer serve her simply because they worked before. Just because it worked before, it may not work now. I realize even now that I'm working on my retreat for 2027, some of the things that I did in 26 is not going to work for 2027. And that's okay. If we only allow leaders to speak after they know exactly how everything worked out, we create leadership that looks very clean, that does not always teach people how to navigate real life. Sometimes walking people through it while you're that's why when you watch, what videos are very successful, when I watch TikTok, and when people are watching people walk through it, a day in the life. Why? Because people want to see people actually going through something. It's so cute that you showed up and all your makeup is done and all your clothes is on and you look real, real good now. But when you was breaking down crying as you were building that business, people miss that and they want to know that they're human. People don't necessarily want to see that because they want to see the downfall of people. They want to know that there's somebody out there that feels the exact same way they are as they are building their business. Because real life happens in the middle. Not in the beginning, not in the end, in the middle. It's that dash. What are you doing between that dash, right? So people want to see that. They want to know that your life is not necessarily all perfect because it helps them to believe in their dreams. Okay. So this is probably the most important distinction for me because I do not believe that simply talking about your pain immediately is unhealthy, right? So I don't believe that. There has to be movement, okay? So there has to be ownership. So we're not just talking about, you know, when you talk about your pain, right? It's not. This is why women say this too. So let me just get really clear because I want to make sure I'm clear on this point. Just talking about what's happening in your life doesn't automatically make it healthy. That's what they mean by like bleeding on people. What they're saying is you got to have some sort of action, some sort of resolute, some sort of movement to what's happening in your life. So you're not just talking about it, right? There has to be some sort of ownership. There has to be a level of participation in your own healing. So when people say you can't bleed or don't bleed, what they're saying is you're just talking about all the stuff that happened. There's no, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take ownership? So this is what I call active healing. Okay. Passive healing assumes that time will eventually make something better. Time does not heal all wounds. I've talked about this before. Active healing asks, what am I doing in the time? Right? I can go through a breakup and spend the next 6 months talking about what that person did, how they did it, while or I can acknowledge, right? What did I learn about myself? I can ask what boundaries need to change. What did I ignore? What did I tolerate? What did I discover about what I need? What can I how can I move differently? So see the difference there? I can talk about my breakup and spend 6 months talking about, oh, I'm hurt. This person did this person did that. I can spend all that time focused on them, or I can turn it around, take complete ownership, and then say, okay, how do I want the next relationship to look? How do I want this to be different? What do I need to look different? What in me would I like to see different? Okay, what in the next partner would I like to see different? If I see this next time, then maybe I'll walk away quicker, right? So the pain may be still there while I'm asking those questions, but that doesn't mean that healing isn't happening, right? So healing is not proven how little you feel because people think, oh, if I go numb on it, I'm healed. No, healing is revealed by what you're doing with what you're feeling. I'm feeling this pain. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to journal? Am I going to go to therapy? Is it something that's deep? Am I going to get a coach? Am I going to now work on relationship healing? What am I going to do? What action am I going to take? Now, there could be multiple actions. I told you guys, if you watch me in the beginning of the year, what did I do? First and foremost, I cried. That's what I do. That's how I started off. I journaled. I actually went to actually hire a male therapist, right? So I did what I needed to do to actively heal, not passively heal. And because I don't believe that passive healing is a real thing, I think that that's a thing that you stuff down. In the moment that you're triggered on your next relationship, all that stuff comes back up. So now you're in a new relationship, not trusting that person, and you're going through all the stages of what happened in the prior relationship instead of being in your current one. And so I think we have created an unrealistic picture of healing where the goal is eventually reach a point where something doesn't affect you anymore. Something that happens, but it's like sometimes that does happen, right? But I do not think emotional numbness should be the measurement on whether you healed or not. And some people think that, oh, I don't feel anything for that person anymore. That doesn't mean you healed. You'll find it out in your next relationship if you're bringing all the things that old person did in a new relationship. And so many people do that. And that's why relationships don't work. Oh, this woman hurt me. She took me through the ringer. She did all these things to me. And so now every other woman that you meet is going to do the exact same thing. Meanwhile, you're into a healed woman who doesn't even think like that, who doesn't have those philosophies or any of that, but you're so busy focused on what happened. So that's how you know when you're healing, when you can stop bringing your past into your present. And so I can feel sadness and still be healing. I can miss something and still know it was not right for me. Oh my God. So many people need to hear that. You can miss something, a place, a old job, a people, old friends, and still know that they're not right for this season of your life. I can be disappointed and still remain committed to my future. I could be disappointed that my business may not be looking the way that I want to and still be committed to it. As a matter of fact, I was disappointed in some things and I had to call my brother. Let me tell you something. My brother is brilliant in business and he has a bunch of companies. And I never really reached out to him because it's this thing with family where, people, I don't like to draw on him. Enough people draw on him. So he knows if I reach out, it's serious. And I reached out to him because I was very frustrated with something. But that doesn't mean that I'm not committed to my future. As a matter of fact, it's like, all right, I need to, plug into something different so I can get a different result. Okay. I can have a difficult day without believing that somehow I've gone backwards. All right. The real question is whether I am participating, whether you are participating in your healing or simply waiting to feel differently. That's different. And this applies beyond relationships. That's why I'm talking about it. I am building dreams right now that have not produced the evidence that I want to see. That's what I was talking about with calling my brother yesterday. And there are moments when I'm real frustrated. Yesterday, I was frustrated. I had to go for a drive. I'm riding around. And I could wait until everything works out and then come here and tell y'all I never gave up. But that would leave out the part that I actually think is the most vulnerable, which is you guys seeing like, oh my gosh, she's really feeling this in this moment. She's showing up still to YouTube. She's still doing her videos. All that still feeling some kind of way. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you'll miss the questions, right? So the questions, what did I do when it was not working? You just heard me say I called my brother, and that is like calling Batman, right? Like, for me, right? How did I talk to myself when I didn't get the result? And so for me, one of the biggest things I do after I cry is I'm like, okay, how can we shift our perspective? What is it how do we need to look at this differently? Who do we need to call? I start doing that kind of thing with myself, or I may go for a drive, and that's what I did yesterday. I went for a drive. What did I change? What did I continue doing? What did I change? I called somebody different. What did I continue doing? I didn't quit on myself. I started writing down, ideas. I'm like, okay, well, I need to, change this business checking account, which I already started doing, right? What did I stop doing? Stop crying for me, but those are the questions, right? What did I do when it was not working? How did I talk to myself when I didn't get the result yet? What did I change? What did I continue doing? What did I stop doing? How did I handle disappointment without disappointment? Like, how did I handle disappointment without allowing the disappointment to make my decisions? I don't allow my disappointment to make my decisions because if I did, I would have quit a long time ago. And those are leadership questions. When I say that I'm the CEO of my life, I'm not saying that I control every circumstance. No, there is no such thing as real control. And how do I know this? Because if it was, my sons would still be living. I know there's some people for you that you would still have around if you had control. We don't have control. CEOs don't control every market condition, every employee decision, every customer decision, or every unexpected event. Your responsibility as the CEO of your life is to lead through what happens. That is how I see my life. Being the CEO of your life, okay, does not mean nothing gets to hurt you. It means that hurt does not need to run the company, the business of you. And this is what the thing is. Everybody's running around trying to prevent being hurt. You cannot prevent it. It takes courage to love you, your business, people, places, and things. Why does it take courage? Because we're all going to lose somebody someday, whether through hurt or through people passing away or leaving your life or going on to another season. It is going to happen. So when you know that, be the CEO of your life has the tools that's going to help you be able to navigate through that and continue to keep going in life. Okay. I can acknowledge what's happening. I can feel everything I need to feel and I can seek support. I can change direction. I can rest when necessary. You can feel everything you need to feel. You can get support. You can change direction. You can rest when necessary. You can admit that you do not know what comes next. I can admit I don't know what comes next, even after having a conversation yesterday, even after my brother sending me a message this morning. But I am still responsible for how I lead through this season. That is active healing. One of the reasons I believe in sharing some experience in real time is because I think we have shown people enough before and after pictures, right? It's just like with fitness, right? You teach fitness, right? You see the before of the person, and then you see when they lost, the 100 pounds, but you don't see all of the stress, the strife, the cries, the tears, the breakdowns that they had to get to that. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, as somebody who taught fitness as well as somebody who is still working towards getting back to her goal weight, there is some stress, some trials, some absolute upset, some tears, the scale going up and down. You don't know why. You want to raise yourself to the point where you even want to take your weave off because you know what's up on that scale because every inch counts, right? So we know how those stories work. Someone tells you who they used to be, what terrible thing happened, what they learned, and then we meet the healed, successful, transformed version of them. Real talk. The absolute value in those stories, though, is the transformation piece, the part of the transformation that we don't see. How did you get there? How did you work through those feelings of frustration? The days you didn't want to get up and go to the gym, the days that you didn't want to get on the scale, the days that you was tired of eating lettuce, the days that you didn't want to eat your vegetables, the times that you just wanted to go out and do you. What did you do? How did you feel? How did you get through it? Those are the things that really makes the transformation the beautiful part. And what happens is with a before and after, the middle disappears. So only thing people see is, oh, they started here, they got here, and then they go on this quest to try to do the same, and they think they have to be perfect, and then they're falling apart all over the place and thinking something's wrong with it. Meanwhile, it's human. If you've ever built anything, you know you go through kicking, screaming, crying, cussing, fussing, all the things, praying, Lord, please, right? You go through all of that. But people miss that when you only want to show them a before and after. We do not see the Tuesday that almost changed your mind. Like, I'm done with this, right? We don't see the conversation where the person finally established a boundary. Man, like, this is why I was so happy that when I walked you guys through, I'm like, oh my God, I realized some things about myself. There's some more. I thought I had figured that part out. Wow, my boundaries still need to be a little bit tougher in this area, right? We don't see the strategy changes. We don't see the pivots that they had to make. We don't see the morning where it's like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do. I cannot get out of this bed. Perimenopause is kicking my butt. I'm in this deep, dark hole. We don't see the tiny decisions that people make every day. So when you remove the middle, the transformation starts to look like it's just magic. I don't want my life to look like it's just magic because it has not just been magic. Now there's been some magical things. Please don't get this twisted. I have a beautiful, blessed life for sure. I do, and I have had some serious moments where I had to make some decisions. I had to do some hard work. There had to be some uncomfortable conversations with myself, right? And so there have been moments where I had to sit with what I was feeling instead of trying to hurry up and get to the lesson. And when you learn how to sit through emotional pain, that's where the strength comes in at, because that is the hardest thing to do. Not trying to run from it, not trying to avoid it, not trying to push past it, not trying to, oh, I got to pull myself together. I got to just get up and just keep being this warrior. Absolutely not. When I learned I was a true warrior, it was when I learned how to regulate my nervous system and sit through them emotions. Okay. There have been moments when I did not know what the lesson even was yet. I had to sit through it. And I think there's value in allowing people to witness some of that. If you only ever see, if you only ever see me once I figure everything out, you might admire the result. However, if you see me practicing what I teach, while my own life is requiring me to use the tools, you get to decide whether these principles actually work in real life. And that's why I show them, because everything that I teach, which is in my Design to Win methodology, is what? You're the CEO of your life. So what do you have to do? First, get real with yourself. Two, take complete ownership of your life. Three, you got to go and grow and get into action. Everything that I teach, I do, right? Anybody can teach a tool after the testimony. I want to know whether you trust the tool while you're still living the story. You guys actually watch me do this in real time. If you watch me over the past couple of years, the grief when my cousin passed away suddenly right at the end of 2024 going into 25, you watch me work this out even in the beginning of 26, with my relationship. So you've seen it. And this is the kind of leadership that I'm interested in. And everybody may not be interested in it. Some people may just want the perfection. Some people may want to just see the before and after. And I'm not mad at that. And that is okay too. I just want you to know that there is another way. I don't want women watching me because they believe I figured it all out with some secret that makes me immune to disappointment, heartbreak, frustration, grief, uncertainty, or change. I am not immune to that at all. The difference is I have the tools to take me through them, right? I want women to understand that all those things can exist and you can still lead yourself and others well. Now, they say you can't lead people to, you can only lead them once you've gone through it. And that's the truth. Now, when I'm talking to you as I'm going through it, I'm not actually leading you. I'm walking the journey along with you, right? Once I cross that bridge, then I'm gonna lead, and then I can go back and get other women to help them cross that bridge, right? There's going to be some women in your life that's going to be walking across the bridge with you, right? And so they're going to be the side by side, your journey takers. And then there's going to be some women that you're going to lead across after you've crossed it. And both are okay. That doesn't mean you share everything. I want to be clear. There's a difference between privacy and performance. Okay. Privacy means I've decided that certain parts of my life belong to me and the people directly involved. There are some parts of my relationship that I will never speak about because it belongs to me and him. Period. Performance means I believe you can only see me when I appear strong, certain, successful, healed, and put together. I want privacy, not performance. Period. I want women to know that you can protect what is personal while still being honest about what is real. I protected what was personal about the relationship while being honest and real that it was the breakup was happening in real time, and I still had to continue to build my business. I actually let you guys watch me walk through it and have the most successful retreat. It was such a beautiful transformation that happened in the room with those women, but you got to watch me walk through it real time. So I'm a person that believes in it's a true leadership, practicing what you preach. Do is it's not do as I say, it's do as I have done or do as I'm doing. Okay. And I want women to know that that's okay. So when we have this conversation about leading while bleeding, guess what? I may get a cut or a nick while I'm leading. I can still tend to that cut and still lead. Okay. It's a matter of, am I going to allow the cut to continue to bleed all everybody looking for somebody to come and give me sympathy and pat me up? Or I'm going to tend to that while I'm still leading and continue to walk people through the system that I'm using. So when I think about the mark of a leader now, I think less about how well someone appears to have everything together and more about how they lead themselves when life gives them something they did not expect. I want to see what you do when life is lifing. Not because I'm looking for you to fail or to be hurt. It's because I'm looking for what tools, what systems did you utilize to walk yourself through it? You cannot walk people through a tool and a system that you're refusing to put yourself through or refusing to show. Can I acknowledge that I'm hurting while requiring somebody else, to rescue me? Can I without requiring, I'm sorry, without requiring somebody to rescue me? That's the question. Can I acknowledge that I'm hurting without requiring somebody else to rescue me? Can I admit that something is not working without allowing embarrassment to make me pretend that it is? I am not embarrassed that my business is not where I want it to be at all. As a matter of fact, it's healthy to be like, okay, what is it that I need to, who do I need to study? What is it I need to do? Right? I'm not embarrassed by it. When you start feeling embarrassment and shame, that is not of God. It just isn't. And you can't feel that way because we're all looking to get somewhere. Okay. Can I change the tool when I realize the old tool does not fit for the woman I am becoming? Absolutely. When this tool that I created with God, designed to win, no longer works then I'm not afraid to shift the tool. Right now, that thing is working, okay? It's not just working for me, it's working for the clients that I've had in my life. It worked for the women at the retreat because that's exactly what I walked them through. Okay. Can I allow myself to feel something deeply without giving that that emotion complete authority? Because that's what it is. It's not allowing it's the emotional intelligence of it all. Not allowing that emotion to completely have authority over every decision. Absolutely not. Right? Most importantly, though, can I let myself be human without believing that my humanity disqualifies me from leadership? I need to know as a leader that you are human. Not that you have all these problems. No, that you're human, because I consider myself to be a human being. Okay, not a human doing, a human being. And so that means I'm going to have very real human moments. Can you help me through those moments? That's the mark of a leader. And I believe I can, and I believe you can too. And so you don't have to wait until your life becomes inspirational again before you allow yourself to be seen. There's so many people that have great stories and great things in them. They're hiding because they believe that they don't have it all together. You know, it's so interesting. There's a young woman who I believe that she's going to be very successful. Right now, she's hiding because she doesn't believe, her home is good enough, or she doesn't believe that you need to have this camera. It's like all these stories. It's just not true. As you grow, your videos will grow. If you go back and look at my videos in 2017, I sound completely different. I even look different. That's okay. You do not have to have the testimony before you acknowledge the test. Just acknowledge the test. It's okay. And I'm gonna watch you pass it. How do I know you're gonna pass it? Because you passed all the other ones. You're still going. You do not have to know how the story is going to end before you can recognize what the story is teaching you today. What the story is teaching me today is to have patience. What the story is teaching me today is to know that God is still working. What the story is teaching me today is that there are other ways that I need to look at my business, which my brother gave me this morning. And I'm going to go research after I finish this video. So it's, what is the story teaching me today? Now, later on, I'll get the testimony after it's arrived in my next retreat, my next business. But as I'm going through it, it's okay. You do not have to have the finished product to be evident that the process is working. There may be something happening in your life, right? Because I really want to, before I end this video, I just want to say there may be something that happened in your life right now that you're still trying to understand. It could be a breakup, divorce, friendships that changed, people that walked out of your life. It could be dealing with grief, a business that's not producing what you want, social media that's not growing the way that you like, a dream that's taking longer than you imagine, or simply the realization that the woman that you have been can no longer carry you into the life that you want. I'm not asking you to tell everybody about it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm asking you to stop believing that you have to hide until you've conquered it. We do not have to suffer in silence. That is not a real thing. I actually think that's an enemy thing. I actually think that's a devilish thing. You do not, there is no such thing. There are look, those are two completely different things. I'm not asking you to tell everybody about it. I'm just saying that you do not have to suffer in silence. You don't have to be quiet until you conquer it. Okay. You are allowed to acknowledge where you are while taking responsibility for where you are going. You are allowed to talk to somebody that you may trust. You are allowed to continue to lead while you're still working through it, what it is that you're working to. You are allowed to say, I'm experiencing this, I am feeling this, I am learning through this, and I'm actively taking care of myself while I'm moving through it. To me, it's not bleeding. That is leadership. The mark of a leader is not that nobody sees your struggle. The mark of a leader is that even in the struggle, you know how to lead yourself and lead others while not taking them on your bleeding emotional journey. Okay? Not needing for them to rescue you. All right. So this week, instead of asking yourself how quickly you can get through whatever you are experiencing, because that's what we want to do, we want to just rush through it. I want you to ask yourself a different question. How do I want to lead myself while I'm in it? Why do I want you to ask that question? Because when you answer that question for yourself, you're going to be able to answer that question for others. And that's what's going to make you a great leader. Pay attention to your answer, because the woman you are becoming is not only built on the other side of the experience, she's built through the decisions that you are making right now as you ask yourself that question. The daily decisions, that's where she's meant. That's where she becomes in the daily decision. I became the woman that I am through my daily decision to change my look, my hair, my body, my mind, my spirit. That's how I became the woman that I am now. And the woman that I'm going to requires another level of change. Every level is going to require something old to leave so something new can come. And it's okay that you share it while you're going through it. Okay, it's just that we're sharing it from a place of showing what we are doing, what tools we are utilizing, how we are walking through it, and not looking for people to validate us, pick us up, and do all those. That's not it. Okay, so if you know of any other woman who's been carrying pressure to always look strong because people depend on her, please share this conversation. She may need this reminder, even if you don't, that vulnerability does not cancel leadership. What's going on with you does not cancel leadership at all. You can still be teaching something. Just think about it. I'm teaching women how to become, and I went through a breakup, right? And I'm talking about how to communicate during a relationship. Does that mean that messes with my credibility? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I was so proud of myself in that relationship. All the things that I did and brought to the table, just because it didn't work out, didn't mean that I don't work. No, it just means that wasn't the person for me. And dating is data. Hello, somebody. Okay, and she does that. Listen, you don't have to perform perfection in order to be powerful. I just want you guys to know that. So please like, share, subscribe. I am looking to grow my YouTube channel. If you've seen, child, now we got to get me, they raise the standard again on how you get to monetization. And that's where I'm looking to go. I'm not ashamed or afraid to tell you that. So please like, share, subscribe, and help me grow my YouTube channel. I love you ladies so much. And my guys, I know my guys are watching too. And I will see you next Sunday. Bye.